You'll definitely want to be able to log into Canva today. So if you haven't taken a session with me yet, this is very interactive. I do have an activity for us to work through as we dig into data and Canva spreadsheets today. I promise spreadsheets are more exciting than they sound. This is my favorite thing to teach right now because it always blows people's minds what I can do to help you save time in your classroom and things like that with Canva spreadsheets. So we're going to talk about Canva spreadsheets. We're going to talk about how Canva AI is built into Canva spreadsheets and some ways that you can use them in your classroom. But we also believe the skills that students learn when they're using Canva go beyond the K-12 space. So students have spreadsheets too, and they can use these in the classroom to organize their own data, to keep them self-organized in a variety of ways. So just know, as we're thinking about this today, that students, they may not have all of the AI built in, but they do have spreadsheets and the accessibility to them. It also fosters 21st century learning skills like creativity, communication, teamwork, collaboration, all of those things. So we know that the demands on teachers keep growing, but time doesn't. So you have to have data and plan and report and do all these things. And we know it's important and it's exhausting, right? It's time consuming. So what if you got a tool that could lighten the load instead of adding to it? Now you do with Canva spreadsheets. So we're just going to really briefly talk about some ways you can use these in the classroom, and then we're going to dive into the example. So again, if you're able to log in, I know we just gained quite a few people. So if you are able to log into Canva, definitely take a minute to do that as I go through these, so then you can hop into our activity. So I know those aren't always education specific examples, but I promise all of that is easily transferable to the classroom, and I'm going to show you that today. So I love this too, that feeling when you get an Excel function right on the first try, you get so excited. Canva makes this so much easier, again, with our AI. So a couple quick things. One of the nice things about Canva spreadsheets is that you can design with data. So instead of just having numbers on a page, you can see kind of in this graphic, and as we log into some of the ones today, you still have a lot of the same elements that you have when you're creating in Canva. You can still make them look really visual and give it a different kind of look to a spreadsheet or to information or to data using Canvas sheets. No more complicated formulas. We have AI built in that will write the formula for you. You get instant insights, so that data-driven instruction can become so much quicker with Canva. And you can create data in seconds using Magic Write. Okay, so some ways you can use spreadsheets in your classroom. So you can use them to track goals, class goals, progress tracking, student tracking, engagement, things like that. Rubrics, we're actually going to take a look at rubrics today. Creating question banks at scale if you're trying to come up with reflection questions, warm-up questions, assessment questions. You can do that really quickly. You can capture student learning with math practice or mood trackers or homework trackers, whatever that might look like. And then students also have all of these tools as well. So with Canva, anything is possible. That's all for slides. I want to dive in and jump right into our activity. So again, this is where if you're logged in, this will go much faster. So if you click on the link, it's going to open a page that looks like this. Your purple button is going to say View Template. When you choose View Template, you're going to get a second pop-up. You're going to choose that purple button. So basically just click all your purple buttons until you get your own copy. So this one is all yours. We're not collaborating or anything like that. So this is your copy. So at any point in time, you can change things, add pages, manipulate it in whatever way you want to make sure it fits what you're trying to accomplish in your classroom. If for some reason when you opened your template, if you don't see these pages down here at the bottom, most of you should, that's usually by default, but if you don't, there is a pages button in the very lower right corner of Canva. The nice thing about that is you can always bring those pages up or down as we create today. So if you want more room on the page, you can drop the pages down. If you want to see the pages in the tray, you can use that pages button. So I always want to make sure you know that that is there. as you're moving through today if you want to drop the pages up or down. All right, we're going to start on page 2, and we're just going to look at some basics of Canva spreadsheets, some of the tools that we have built in that are similar to other spreadsheets like Google Sheets or Excel. But also, this is a really good example of how things can be really visual in Canva as well. So I will be honest, I did not make this spreadsheet. I will not take credit for it. This is something Canva created, but it is really pretty. It's got like really great visuals in it. As you keep going, you can kind of see some different things there. We're going to just take a look at just a couple of the quick functions that you can do and kind of get used to Canvas sheets. So one of the things that you have that's, again, pretty similar to a lot of spreadsheets is date columns. I know that this one says select this cell, but I feel like it works a little better if you grab the blank cell on the end. So I'm going to click in this blank cell up here. The key button when we're working in Canvas spreadsheets in this top toolbar is Actions. So when I click on Actions, if I scroll down, I can insert, and then I just have date. So I can drop a date in there. It looks like a nice, really visual calendar, super easy to add dates to your design. So I always like to point that out. These are, again, yes, these exist in other spreadsheets, just want to show you how to get to them in here. So one of the options is that date cell. The next one, we're going to take a look at how to mention teammates and tag teammates and things. So if I click on this cell and I go to Actions, again, Actions being that key button in the top toolbar, and I scroll down, we have an @ option here in the mention. So I can @ a teammate, tag them in something, assign them to something. You could do this for students, for your other teachers. What it does not do, and the one thing I want to clarify, it does not notify them in any way that they were tagged. You still have to tag them in a comment or share the design with them. So if you were like putting students in groups or you were assigning something, you could do this without having them get all these notifications. Just know that you can tag, attaches a teammate, things like that without them getting all the notifications. You can also add things like drop downs. So again, I'm going to go to Actions. I'm going to choose drop down. There are a few that are already built in. I can create my own using that plus sign. We also have some quick presets. Do you want it to just say yes, no, the status of something, approval, whatever that might look like? If I create my own, when I choose create my own, I can edit these options. I can also edit the color, things like that. So I can control, again, I can really build whatever dropdown is going to fit best for what I'm doing in my classroom. So I can have a really good, nice visual dropdown there. And then other things, I added this because we've added a few others lately. So under Actions, you have things like now you can add a checkbox, or I know that sounds simple, but I can checkbox things. I can also add things like a link to something. I can add another Canva design. We're going to come back to formulas in a little bit and all of these other action tools, but drop down mentions, dates, checkboxes, links, all of those are available really quick and easily right here. Okay, let's go on to page 3, and we're going to take a look at starting with some formulas and building formulas in Canva. So this one, okay, probably not as relevant to most. This was the example Canva had. I added a second one that we'll look at as well, but this is a quick, easy way to get us started. So this one's just a budget. We're going to pretend we have a budget here. We have these drop downs that show things that we must have and the cost of everything. And then at the bottom, we need to know the total of all of the must-have items plus a 7.5% tip. Could we go through and add all that up and figure that out ourselves? Yes. Can we do that a lot faster with Canva and formulas? Also, yeah. If you knew a formula that you wanted to add to a design, when you click on that cell, under Actions at the very bottom, you can type in your own formula. So you can click on Formula, add your own formula. If you know how to build the formula, fantastic, you can build it yourself. If you don't, or you're not sure, we have a button that's called Magic Formulas. That brings in our AI tools to help us write the formula. So if I click on Magic Formula and I ask it what I want the total of all the must-have items plus a 7.5% tip. So I want to know the total of all the must-have items plus a 7.5% tip. I click that purple button. It is going to read my spreadsheet and it is going to write me that formula. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit insert. That is now the number. So it's a formula. So if I adjust, like this price is now $800, that formula is going to automatically adjust for me. I don't think, maybe it's changed. Yeah. If I change this, it's not going to know because it only grabbed the ones that were originally labeled as must have. I have to redo the formula, but it does let me it lets me ask the question and it writes the formula for me. So it makes that so much easier. Let's look at page 4. And this one has some other examples. So this one is just pretend student data. So I just pretend grabbed assignment scores, an average score for all the assignments, and their attendance percentage. There are some different questions over here, different magic formulas that you could try. So for the first one, do I maybe just want the average of all of the students' average scores? That's pretty easy, but I can just go to magic formulas and say average of all the average scores. And it is going to tell me, it knows it's this whole column, and then I can insert. That is one option. Another one is that we can add conditional coloring for, high averages, low averages, things like that. So that's an option. If you want to use all of the data, you can just grab it like this. And again, you can also copy and paste these prompts. I made it so that you could keep grabbing them. So if I want to grab these scores, go to actions, go to magic formulas underneath, add conditional coloring. If attendance is above a 90 or an 80 or whatever, so we're going to look at these average attendance scores. If attendance is above a 90, show a green check, otherwise show a yellow warning. So if I take that prompt, I'm going to put it over here. I'm going to go to magic formulas. I'm going to paste that prompt. If attendance is above a 90, show a green check, otherwise show a yellow warning. It's going to write that formula for me. I'm going to insert it. And then just like another spreadsheet, I can take that corner and I can drag it down so it applies to all of them. So now if it's above a 90%, it's going to show me a green check mark. If it's below a 90, it's going to show me a yellow low warning sign. I can make those a little bigger too. They're kind of small. So all I'm doing is copying these prompts and I am putting them in a cell and I am adding magic formula and it's going to run it for me. And then this one, the last one I added in here as just a way to also add some magic charts, which you can as well, where you could take the correlation between attendance and scores and do a little scatter chart. So that's also an option. This one's a little bit more of an advanced option, but I gave you that prompt if you want to try it. So same thing under actions, there is a magic charts button as well as magic formulas. So it will build a chart for you if you ask it certain prompts. So again, lots of different ways to really use those magic formulas, calculate weighted averages, give it a letter grade, again, show those quick pieces, averages, things like that. So you're using that prompting to ask it what you want, and it's feeding you back those formulas. And again, you can always drop those pages down if they're getting in the way and then bring them back up. Timers, so the question about the timer, you should see a timer in this lower toolbar down here. There is just timer right here. That's the one I'm using. Timers exist in most design types except for things like video typically, but you can just add a timer, minutes and seconds, and then there are 5 sound choices. So that's how you get timers down here at the bottom. And then super easy to share. We actually just completely re-updated our Google Classroom integrations. We can talk about sharing at the very end. If you're sharing things to and from Google Classroom, we'll try to catch that at the very end too. Now we're going to get into more of the fun that I think is more of the fun stuff. So we're going to go on to the next page, the one that has the green banner, and we're going to take a look at how Canvas Sheets can save us time. So a couple different ways to use this. Number one, this one is our pretend class list. Wouldn't it be awesome if this was our whole class list? This is our pretend class list. A couple things you can do with Canva spreadsheets. You can do things in bulk or at scale. So we're saving ourselves time. One of the things we can do is we can take all of these student pictures. I know we're talking about student pictures, but you could do this with a lot of different things. Maybe you're creating content and information about the planets or about something, and you can grab photos from our photo library and add them right into the spreadsheet. And then, or ones that you upload, so again, just like these student ones, if I grab this entire column, so I'm going to click on the letter C and grab the whole column. When I do that in my top toolbar, because there's a bunch of photos in here, one of the options is BG Remover. So I can remove the background from all those photos with just one click. So if I was creating something and I wanted to remove a bunch of backgrounds, I could add them in, remove them, and then I could use those images elsewhere. So it's a quick way to kind of remove a bunch of backgrounds all at one time. So again, I just clicked on the letter C, hit BG Remover, and removed all of them. The other thing we can do is we can have AI help us to save us some time. So this is just, again, one example. I'll share a few others. But we're going to pretend like maybe this is a little more elementary. I teach ELA and math. You can pick one or both or whatever you want to write in here. But let's say I'm going to sit down or throughout the week, I'm just going to jot notes about my students. So maybe, or it could be general notes about the students, but maybe this student is improving in fluency and struggling with math facts. Maybe this student is reading above grade level and this student is mastered dividing fractions. We'll do one more and then I'll show you the kind of fun AI part of this. So maybe I want this student is doing great. Could I have done this better? Yes. So now I'm going to grab the cells that I want filled in. So I'm going to grab these cells next to the notes that I wrote. And maybe I need to turn these notes into report card comments, an email to families, progress check comments, notes about a student, whatever that might be for you. I'm going to go up to actions. And under actions, there is a button that says Magic Write. If you have not tried Magic Write is Canva's generative text tool. So just like Copilot, ChatGPT, Gemini, it is our version that is built into Canva that is running on all of those underlying platforms, as well as our own technology. So when I click on Magic Write, I get my little prompt box, and maybe I want to turn those super quick notes into 2 complete sentences with a positive tone. It knows I'm looking for report card comments because the top of that column does say report card comments. I could give it more information. Again, I could change this, but maybe I just want to turn these into 2 complete sentences with a positive tone. I'm going to go ahead and click that purple arrow, and it is going to take that student's name, take the notes I wrote, and turn that into 2 sentences with a positive tone. And then I can just hit that purple insert. I have to hit insert. If I click away from it, it's going to go away. So one thing about Canva AI is it's safe and secure and we don't store data, but that also means we don't store your prompts. So if I click away somewhere else, it's going to go away. But if I click that purple insert, it's going to drop it right in here. Another key little button that often gets overlooked in Canva spreadsheets in this top toolbar near the end, there is this little kind of arrow. If I click that, it will wrap the text. I get asked all the time, how do I wrap text or how do I change that? There is a little button in that toolbar. Looks like that. I can wrap text. So again, it can quickly and easily help us build things. I know this is about students. We're going to look at other ways, but maybe this is about the planet and I want 2 facts in the distance from the sun. Magic Write could write that information in there. Maybe I want it to be a fun award name. So maybe I want a fun award name based on these things. It can generate those. So whatever it is you want to generate, you just grab the cells you want filled in, go to actions and Magic Write. I want a fun award name based on the comments, and it is going to write those award names. So you can ask it for whatever you want and it will write it for you. So we're going to go on to the next 2. I'm going to demo the next 2 and I'll give you some time to practice these. So this next one is going to talk about creating content at scale. So if you're building things for your classroom. So kind of similar to what we just looked at, but a little bit different. This one, we're going to pretend this is PE. You can change this to be anything you want. But let's say I need this information, an NBA player, the team, their position, their age, their height, and their arm span. Could I find all of this information on the web? Yes. Could I do it a lot faster with AI? Also, yes. And again, this could say the planet, the distance from the sun, a fact, whatever information that you want, an element of the periodic table, the number, the symbol, a fact, whatever it might be. As long as at the top of the column, you put in the title or the information that you're looking for, we are going to grab the cells in between that we want filled in. So again, I'm going to grab all the cells I want filled in. I'm going to go to actions. And instead of using Magic Write and prompting it like we did with the report card comments, there's a different button that we have in Canvas Sheets that says Fill Empty Cells. Fill empty cells will read everything on my spreadsheet and then fill in the information. So it knows what information I'm looking for because the top of the column tells it what I'm looking for. So when I hit fill empty cells, it is going to fill in that information for me in one click. So now here's the basketball player, the team, all that information I asked for. I have some choices because this is just like our Magic Write technology. I can say this, but maybe I want them all from one team or whatever it might be, all one position. I can iterate off of it, or I can just say insert and it drops it in. So could I have gone out and found all that information? Yes. Did this do it a lot faster? Also, yes. So one more time, I just grabbed all the cells that I want filled in. The key with a lot of spreadsheet work is grabbing the number of cells that you want filled in, actions, and then fill empty cells. It'll do it. I hit insert and there I go. You could change the columns. You could adjust that, play around with different information. The next page is similar, but slightly different, but same idea. So we're gonna talk about how you can use this to build a rubric. So rubrics, again, this one would have saved me hours as a teacher. This one looks really visual, but the key to this one is that only that it has the word rubric on the page. So it just says the word rubric. That is what is key. And we have a space for our topic. What are we assessing? Maybe I'm assessing, I could be like an argumentative essay. It could be a project. You can put in a standard. Maybe I'm assessing Common Core writing 8.2. Whatever it is that you're assessing, you write that in as much or as little information as you want to give it. Obviously, the more detail, the better. This one's going to know it's 8th grade and that it's a writing assignment, but I could put, the prompt, something else in there. I could put whatever I want in there. So the key piece is that it has rubric and the topic. Then I have some choices. I can put in a scale. If I know I'm using a 4-point scale, I can put in a 4-point scale, or language that we use, meet standard, above standard, whatever type of language I'm using. I could put that in if I want to. If there is specific criteria I know that needs to be scored, I can put it in the criteria if I want to down the left-hand column. If I did that, if I had a scale or criteria, then I would grab the middle cells that I want filled in. If I don't want to put any of that and I just want it to do it for me, I just grab the number of cells I want filled in is key. So if I want 1, 2, 3, about a 4-point scale, and then maybe I want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 criteria or 6, however many I grab. I can go to actions, and here's where I also have 2 choices. I can use Magic Write, and I'm going to get that prompt box, and I can feed it whatever information I want. Please make sure they're being assessed on claim evidence, reasoning, and conventions, or XYZ. Like, you can feed it some information using Magic Write. Or I can just go to actions, choose fill empty cells. It will read whatever's already on my spreadsheet and it will create that rubric. So again, the more you give it, whether it's written on the page or whether you use Magic Write, you can give it as much information as you want, or you can let it do the work for you. Hit insert. There we go. And then I can go in, these are all editable, so I can change language and adjust it if I don't like it. If you want to try this and you want another blank page, or you want to do something like this with your own content, you can hover, if you look down at the bottom of my screen, you can hover in between the 2 pages, click the plus sign, and it will add a blank spreadsheet. And then I can say like planet, distance from the sun. Maybe I want a warm-up question for 2nd graders, a fact about that planet. Okay, so I just put in here whatever information that I want. It could be assessment questions. Maybe I want an assessment, and then I grab as many cells as I want filled in. I would assume however many planets there are. I don't know if that's the right number, but we're going to pretend it is. And then I can choose fill empty cells. The thing with this is it is only going to generate text. So unfortunately, it's not going to generate images for you at this point, but it is going to generate text. So then I hit insert, and now here is the planet, the distance from the sun, a warm-up question for 2nd graders, a fact about that planet, and an assessment question, all right in my spreadsheet. So again, you can hover, add your own pages, play around with that. So I have a teacher that I work with pretty frequently. She's a good friend of mine in my home district, and we just built her whole month of daily slides. So she has her like learning objective, a question that goes with it. She teaches history, so it was like this day in history. So it generated like the weekdays in November, all the information that she wanted. And then I'm going to talk about it at the end, but you can then connect this information to a Canva design, like a Canva slide, like your opening slides. And she made a whole month of slides in like 5 clicks. So really easy ways to not only generate the information, but then you can then use that to create in bulk. And I'll show you what that looks like. Again, time-saving pieces that I think have been amazing if I had this when I was teaching, but lots of different ways. Again, spreadsheets are way more than data. But we're going to take a look at data. So the next couple we're going to take a look at have to do with some data and some pieces of data and instruction that could help us. They look really similar, but they're a little slightly different sets of data. This one, again, it's not perfect, but it is some pretend test data. I'm going to drop my pages down so you can see a little bit more of them. This one is actually fairly accurate data. I got this from a friend of mine who also is a teacher. She got this from her curriculum. So the ELA curriculum that they use has these little mini tests in it. It has 10 questions. The test shows what standard that the question was addressing. I made up the questions. Those weren't the real questions. But the test did give us the number, the Common Core reading standard, and the percent of students that got the question wrong. That was what she was able to export. So if you have your own test data from a Google Classroom test, your curriculum, like I don't know, Savvis or any of those ELA or social studies curriculums or science curriculums, maybe if you are state testing, if you have test data that you can bring in, you can use Canva's Magic Insights to help you with that data. So I'm going to go to Actions. I'm going to go to the one that says Magic Insights, and it's going to open this window. You can ask it for something as simple as summarize this data. Just summarize it. I just want to know a quick summary. Generate. Summarize this data, and it's going to tell me here's the average percent incorrect. Here's the question with the highest percent incorrect. Here's a couple quick charts. So it did all that just by asking for summarizing the data. So really, really easy ways to do that. I could even be more specific with my question. So I have here, it says other prompt ideas. It kind of gave me this information, but I could ask it instead of just summarize. I can ask it more specifically, what standard in column E has the highest total percent incorrect? You can look, if you look at the data, like R 7.1 is repeated. A lot of these are repeated. Could I go in and add all this up myself? Yes. Could I just have Magic Insights do it for me? Also, yes. So easy ways to be able to really quickly analyze that data. So if I ask it which standard has the highest total percent incorrect, it should tell me 7.2. Okay, this one didn't tell me. Okay, it's like 50-50. Sometimes it actually tells me and sometimes it just gives me a chart. The answer is 7.2. So this chart is correct. But you can ask it for those pieces. So this next one is a little bit different set of data. So we could take a look at this. This one has a student, they're reading, writing, math. So like some sets of scores here. So you can take a look at these scores. Again, it's kind of similar to this test data, but slightly different. So I can, again, go to Magic Insights. This one gives us a couple different prompts as well. So we can say, I'm going to grab all this data, go to Actions and Magic Insights. For this one, we can start with just summarize this data, and it's going to summarize. A few other options are like, what are areas of improvement in my class? Which students need more help? Which student improved the most between Arithmetic 1 and Arithmetic 2? So can you go in and find that information if you scanned? Yes. But I know this is a really short list of kids. I know sometimes I taught secondary. I taught 150 kids at a time. This, I could grab all of their test data, throw it all in here, and have it analyze it a lot more quickly than me trying to go class by class and figure out what my kids are missing, right? So the average score was this on the first assessment, second assessment, here's a scatter plot, things like that. So again, I could ask what are areas of improvement, what students need more help, things like that. And then along with that, so the third page in here, so those are two insight pages, kind of goes hand in hand. So then on page 11, this one is a Canva document, so it's not a spreadsheet. But this is where we can take that data. So especially in that first one, when I asked it, what standard was the most missed, and it told me 7.2. I could then use Canva and Canva's Magic Write, which again is our generative text tool. I can click in my document, choose Magic Write at the top, and say, write a review lesson for Common Core Reading 7.2. That was the standard they most missed. Actually, I'm going to say write a 10-minute review lesson for Common Core Reading 7.2. So if I know that I gave a test, I grab all that data, I drop it in. What standard did they miss the most? Clearly it was 7.2. Now I can use Magic Write. Hey, tomorrow I need a review lesson. Here's my review lesson. So I can not only analyze data faster, but I can have Magic Write help me use that data for data-driven instruction more quickly. So again, with that document, I just click on the page, Magic Write lives up here. You prompt it based off the insights you got from the data. Maybe it's a review lesson, maybe it's extension questions, maybe it's assessment questions, maybe you need some more of them. Whatever that might look like for you, you ask it, generate, and there you go. Yes, it can do data and insights, but it can also do a lot more. There's 2 more pages at the end of this deck that I just want to cover. We won't really have time, which I figured just right about where we normally get to. This one talks about magic charts, which I sort of talked about earlier as well. So under that same actions button, we have an option that says magic charts. Magic charts will take your data. So if I click on that circle in the upper corner, it'll grab the whole spreadsheet. When I go to actions and magic charts, it will read the data, decide what type of chart is the best fit, but give you also options. And I can just magically grab a chart and drop it right in there. So again, lots of different ways to kind of use that AI. And then you have all of these ways to customize that chart as well. Just some different ways to use data when it comes to charts that you don't always have to build yourself. It can do that for you. All the instructions are on this same panel. So we're just gonna kind of skim over that one, but that one is there. And then the last slide has 4, I like the little extension activities, if you will. Kind of what I talked about earlier with the ability to create those daily slides or do those things in bulk. You can combine Canva's spreadsheets with Canva's bulk create. So I can create daily slides all in one click. Certificates, rubrics, or flashcards. These are the 4 examples I have. If you click on any one of these, just above it, you'll see the URL here that says template, 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 template. If you click on those, you can make a copy, and then each one of those has full sets of directions in there that you can go through and practice and see how you can use this even more. So I know we never have time to cover this, but I did add them in there as kind of little extensions if you want to take the learning past this. Lastly, really quick, let's talk about Google Classroom since that was asked as well. Under share, if you're going to share anything to Google Classroom, maybe you're sharing a template or an assignment in a spreadsheet, which you can totally do if you want to organize something in a spreadsheet and share that over to Google Classroom. When you go to share, under see all, at the bottom, there is a Google Classroom button. That's one way to do it. So share, see all, Google Classroom. But we actually got a little bit of a new update and upgrade to our options. And that is you should see this assign button in the top of your spreadsheet as well. If I choose assign, I can now change this one to Google Classroom. This is like kind of our updated integration. And then I can choose continue. So I can choose a class. I only have one. I can choose the due date, points, I can write instructions, and then I can hit assign. Once again, this is the newer updated feature. When I hit assign, it goes into Google Classroom. Kids can click on it. It creates a template link for them, which makes their own copy. When students get their own copy, they should now get a button up here in the corner that says send to Google Classroom. They can just submit it directly back to Google Classroom for you. That's kind of Canvas Sheets in a nutshell.